Hi again. Since you've made it this far, hopefully now you're becoming more and more comfortable with OCaml coding, and that's why this time I'm going to show you a very nice thing that you can do with OCaml. As you can see, OCaml scripts. We can actually write scripts, write and run scripts in OCaml, just like we run shell scripts or PHP scripts. If you are familiar with scripting in general, in for example in the Unix file system. Now, before I show you how to do that, I just wanted to give you a quick reminder of what we've come across before, that the hash use and hash load commands are known as top level directives. We didn't use hash use before. We used hash load. I remember when we needed to use things from the Unix and the str modules in our top level. They can only be used while interacting with the interpreter, or when we say interacting with the interpreter, that means we're using the top level, i.e. the top loop, or from scripts that are run using the OCaml program. So what we'll do is we will run our program as a script using the OCaml program, as I will show you in 2 minutes. Now the hash use loads a source file into the current scope. The load loads a module from a compiled bytecode file. So load loads a module from a compiled bytecode file, i.e. from sort of library file. This has the same effect as including this file during the bytecode compilation. So just like including the file, we can load it using the hash load. Now the load can also be used with libraries. Yes, libraries and modules. Remember, libraries, bytecode libraries has the extension of .cma. If you remember, we used load unix.cma, load str.cma, and when we compiled, we provided them in our command line to compile, if you remember from previous videos. The open statement, we've seen it before in our file. What we do with it is we use it in any source file, yes, and it allows us to it allows any values defined within a module to be used without being prefixed by the module name, i.e. if we open a module, then we save ourselves using the fully qualified name, i.e. module name dot da, 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 as we did before, I think with printf. We've seen this before, I'm sure I have explained it. Now enough talking, let's have a look at our file, the one we've been using before. I'm sorry, this is my Skype, let me put it aside. Yes, so this file here, we've seen it before, yes, and open printer. So that is what I was talking about here, the open statement. We don't have to have the fully qualified name I with a dot. So when I open printf there, that is needless. It's needless for me to say printf.printf because it's already opened. And if I save this, if you remember using the modules from the last time we used this file, now if I compile and run, that should work normally. -o to specify the output name, -o we named it file. If I remember, specify the executable name. No, not OCaml, OCaml C, because OCaml is the actual interpreter. So the compiler, and then we run, and it runs automatically. So that's how to use open. But what I wanted to show you is that we can actually see this as a script, and what we need to do is we need to know where the OCaml interpreter is. OCaml interpreter is the command OCaml. This is the interpreter, the one we use to load to go into top level. Yes, so we need to check which one we are actually, where exactly it is. So that's it. We need to copy the path. Yeah, copy that. And if you remember from shell scripting, um, we need to provide that as the very first line. Where is the interpreter as the very first line of our script? So hash exclamation and then the full path to our interpreter. We save that, and now instead of compiling the file, we can actually run it using the oh, by the way, before I do that, let me just delete this. Save. In fact, instead of compiling, I can actually execute this file using the interpreter, and it gives me the exact same result. So what it does is it actually goes through all the statements and executes them as we expect. Now inside it, when we tried to use the load. So let me, for example, show you load, for example, unix.cma. If I try to use something from inside Linux, if you remember from inside Unix, I'm sorry, if you remember, we used the date and time. So let me uncomment this so we can use the date and time. If you remember from the previous video, before I remember using this and trying to compile. So if I compile now, the compiler will not actually be happy. I think even if I provide that, it will not be happy. But if I interpret it, um, OCAML.file.ml, where is line 41? That's first line. Where's line 41? Complaining about line 41. That's line 41. Let t equals, oh yeah, I need to put a semicolon there. Yeah, that's why it's complaining. So if I interpret it, then it works nicely. These are just warnings. Don't worry about them for the moment. But it does the computation value is 16 from the module, and it prints out the date from the Unix module. So to use that, I remember we used that in our top level. We can use the interpreter. Now, if I try to use it as a shell script, if you remember, we need to provide the full path. I'm sorry, no, the full path to the interpreter. So which OCaml again? Copy and paste that always as the very first line. If you remember, if you're from shell scripting or PHP scripting. By the way, I do actually have a tutorial that contains scripting in PHP, so you can double check my channel. There's a playlist there for, I think, for, if I still remember, for connecting to MySQL server from PHP from command line. You can watch that and you learn how to do PHP scripting. Anyway, so let me save that, and then I can actually now run the file as a normal shell script, but it's complaining permission denied. It's because I need to give it execution, so 755 to add execution, and now you see it's complaining now reference to undefined global Unix. So it is actually running. These are the warnings we had before, but here apparent it can't see Unix. Yes, now I need to use the load unix.cma, the library, and I should be able to execute it normally, as you can see, as a shell script. So remember, the very first line should be the path to the interpreter with the hash exclamation, but inside it we can use load nicely, and then we can give it execution permission, and then we can run it as a normal shell script. Isn't that wonderful? I think you would say it is. We've learned how to code in OCaml and also how to use the code, as I said, as a shell script. For example, if we want to execute it from from a remote computer, do it over a network or anything like that. What else? I remember I mentioned this is a library, so in the next video I think I'm going to give you an overview of the OCaml file extensions. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you're enjoying this, and I'll see you next time.